This is Christa Pike. Today she is 45 years old, but when Christa was just 18, she committed a crime so horrific that it shocked parents across America. After hearing what she did, many parents became afraid to send their children to school or college. So what exactly did Christa Pike do that made her the youngest woman in U.S. history to be sentenced to death? And why, even 30 years later, are people still waiting for her execution? I don't understand why suddenly this case is back in the spotlight. She was sentenced. Everything was done. It's been 28 years. So let's go through the case of Christa Pike and understand the making of the most evil teenager. Christa Pike was born on March 10, 1976 in West Virginia. Her childhood was far from normal. It was troubled and traumatic. Her parents were alcoholics. In fact, her mother didn't stop drinking even during pregnancy. As a result, Christa was diagnosed with brain damage, especially to her frontal lobe, which affects behavior regulation and decision-making. Her parents were extremely irresponsible and uninterested in her. They mostly ignored her, prioritizing drinking, partying, and wandering around overparenting. The home environment was not suitable for raising a child. No one cleaned the house, which remained untidy and unhygienic. Even their dog's waste wasn't clean, and neighbors reported seeing Christa playing with it. Living in such conditions likely led to many health issues for her. Christa's parents constantly fought and blamed each other. When Christa was just 2, they divorced. After that, she bounced between her mother and father, neither of whom wanted to keep her. However, her paternal grandmother was kind and the only person who gave her any love and affection. Christa and her grandmother developed a close bond. For the first time in her life, Christa experienced love. Her parents didn't want her, so her grandmother promised to raise her. Christa was happy, but the happiness didn't last. Her grandmother developed cancer and died when Christa was only 12. Now Christa had no one to trust or depend on. She became very depressed, forced to live again with a mother who didn't want her. Her mother was busy with her boyfriend, and her father had remarried and focused on his new family. Christa was now completely on her own. At age 13, Christa began drinking and smoking, behavior she learned from watching her mother. She tried to report the abuse she was facing, but her mother ignored her. Once, when relatives came over for dinner, Christa told them everything. Based on their statements, 2 or 3 people were arrested, and Christa was removed from the home and placed in care for 3 months. When she returned, she had become rebellious, skipping school, arguing with teachers and students, getting into fights daily. At 15, she started committing petty crimes and thefts. In one incident, she was caught and sent to juvenile detention for 12 months, where she was exposed to even more violence. She had regular fights with other inmates. When she was released at 16, she was even more aggressive. She dropped out of school and was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, in addition to long-standing depression. At 18, Christa joined a government-run youth program called Job Corps, aimed at helping people aged 16 to 24 who hadn't finished their education. She had dropped out after 9th grade, so she joined to complete her education. In 1994, she enrolled in the Knoxville, Tennessee branch, where students also lived on campus. The program had a poor reputation, and due to what happened in that batch, it was shut down the following year. There was a lot of violence among students. Carrying knives or box cutters was common. Christa met a 17-year-old named Tatterell Shipp at Job Corps. Like Christa, he had dropped out in 9th grade and was involved in criminal activities. His mother had enrolled him in the program to try to turn his life around. According to Tatterell, when he first met Christa, it was love at first sight. They bonded quickly over similar childhood traumas and broken families. However, their relationship took a dark turn. They started talking obsessively about Satanism and even discussed making a human sacrifice to Satan. Tatterell was intimidating, and students on campus were afraid of him. Their relationship was toxic and abusive. Another student, Colleen Slemmer, had also joined Job Corps to finish her education. From day one, she and Christa didn't get along. Their teen rivalry kept escalating. During the Thanksgiving break, Christa had to go home to her mother, but Colleen and Tatterell stayed on campus. During that time, Tatterell and Colleen became close. When Christa returned, Tatterell told her that he had hooked up with Colleen and claimed that Colleen was obsessed with him. He blamed her entirely. Christa felt that Colleen was trying to steal her boyfriend. She decided to take revenge. She began stalking Colleen and bullying her with her friends. Colleen became terrified and called her mother, saying she wanted to leave, but she didn't reveal any names. Her mother, unaware of the gravity of the situation, told her to stay and finish her education. On January 11th, Christa told a friend, Kim, that she wanted to kill Colleen. On January 12th at around 8 p.m., Kim saw Christa, Colleen, Tatterell, and another girl, Shadala Peterson, leaving Job Corps. About 2 hours later, 3 of them returned. Colleen was missing. The next morning, a couple found a blood trail during their walk. Following it, they discovered a semi-nude dead body and called the police. The body showed signs of a violent struggle, defensive wounds, a destroyed face, and carvings of a pentagram and satanic symbols. The police soon received a tip pointing to 3 Job Corps students. Christa had kept a piece of Colleen's skull as a trophy and was bragging about it to others. She was excited and proud of the murder. One student told their parents parents, who contacted the police. Witnesses confirmed Christa carried weapons, knives, and a box cutter. All three were arrested. Christa claimed Colleen had provoked her. Shadala admitted she believed in Satanism and went along just to see the sacrifice. She described how Christa and Tatterall tortured Colleen for 45 minutes, cutting her with knives, carving symbols into her body, and finally killing her by repeatedly smashing her head with a rock. They celebrated the murder. Christa even kept a piece of the skull as a souvenir. The crime was so gruesome that it's hard to even call them human. All three were arrested for first-degree murder and confessed. Christa described how she slashed Colleen multiple times while Colleen begged for mercy. When she tried to run, they dragged her back and beat her to death with a rock.